So it should be explained that there are three academic types of problems on the ACT science section of the exam. So the first of these three types is data representation. So you see data and they want you to interpret it and understand what it's saying to you. Second is research summary. You will see a sample of a particular research done in the test question, and you are to answer what happened during the exam, what happened during the research to cause uh, the result of the scientific problem. And then the third type is conflicting viewpoints. So oftentimes when you do a problem and when you do an experiment in science, you might have something that conflicts with what you previously thought was true. So how do we know what's true and what's not? Well, the understanding conflicting viewpoints will help us determine what that would be. So there are three academic types of problems. Let's go through the problems and see what type each of the passages adhere to. There are 6 passages overall. There should be 2 then of each. Okay, let's see for passage 1. The figure below is a pedigree that shows the inheritance of a trait G, in a family. The presence of trait G is in an individual is determined entirely by gene G. Gene G has 2 alleles, capital G, which is dominant, and little g, which is recessive. Each individual represented in the pedigree was assigned a number shown below by a symbol for the individual. For reference, scientists determined that the gene G genotype of individual 20 is little g, and that the gene G genotype of individual 21 is capital G, little g. Based on this information, the science concluded that trait G is a recessive trait. Now, which of the 3 types is this? Well, knowing what the 3 academic types are, we can determine that this is data representation. So the data is shown in the graph below and is represented and shown to the student on the sheet, and as such refers to data representation. Now let's look at passage 2. See what this adheres to. Heliconia metallica is a plant found in the understory of tropical rainforests. The understory is the area below the forest canopy. H. metallica flowers are normally pollinated by hummingbirds. The flowers can be self-pollinated. Egg and pollen are from the same H. metallica plant, or cross-pollinated. Egg and pollen are from different Egg and pollen are from different H. metallica plants. The following study was conducted to investigate the effects of different pollinated treatments on fruit production and seed mass in a population. Study. Before pollination could occur, the anthers pollen-producing structures were removed from each of 400 H. metallica flowers. Then the flowers were covered with nylon bags to prevent the normal pollinators from pollinating the flowers. The covered flowers were divided equally into 4 groups, groups 1 through 4, and each group received a different pollination treatment. See Table 1. 4 weeks after the pollination treatments, the percent of flowers that produced fruit and the average mass per seed were determined for each group. See figures 1 and 2 respectively. Table 1. Group pollination treatment. Group 1, self-pollination. Group 2, cross-pollination with pollen's collection from a single donor, H. metallica plant. 3. Cross-pollination with a mixture of pollen collected from 6 donor H. metallica plants. Group 4, no pollination. Asterisk, each flower was pollinated with pollen from its removed anthers. We see figure 1 and figure 2 below. We're not going to, we can't read those. Then you get the questions. So, which of the types is it? It is type 2, the research summary. So you see here a bunch of research was done, as shown by the graphs figure 1 and figure 2. A lot of research was done, and you see the results there below, and your goal as a scientist is to interpret what the research shows you. And the questions shown here. The questions shown here ask for your interpretation of the research. Let's look at passage 3. Passage 3. When 2 types of bacteria